So today we have another speaker, Soenil. It is an honor to have you today. He'll be talking about real world experience on preparation of penetration testing. So I would like to introduce him. He's a solution oriented IT cybersecurity professional who spent more than 28 years in the IT sector, 18 years as a contractor, and 8 years in the cybersecurity area as penetration tester, cryptography specialist, senior security consultant, senior SOC specialist, and technical project leader in security. So, stage is all yours, and over to you. Thanks for
Th-
today's.
Thank you, Muskan. Hello, welcome all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Namaste also for the persons in India. Sunil Subeda, let's short introduction about me, already mentioned by Muskan, but yeah, hold a lot of some of the cybersecurity certifications, done a lot of trainings. The part about my experience has been mentioned for the Netherlands, Belgium, mostly in Europe, but also for some clients in India. Some of the branch where I have been working or still working. I'm certified instructor for technical cybersecurity trainings. Um, some of the roles, what I have been done or currently still doing. Um, and at the left side, you will see some of the clients where I'm working or have been work. Um, the last one, the Dutch Ministry of Justice and Security. I have been worked there for 3 years, 2 years as a senior SOC specialist, and 1 year, more than 1 year as in penetration testing. Based on my experience, a little bit about that, I will also give you some use case or situations what we was facing. Um, Currently, I'm working for almost 9 months on a contract by ABN AMRO Bank in Amsterdam as a senior security consultant. So that's a brief about me. Let's go to the topic. So what I've prepared is how a little bit about pen testing. Most maybe already know, but for the persons who are not familiar with penetration testing, so about pen testing, the goal of pen testing, the roles or names what they are using if they are using penetration testing. Um, I put it in 6 general steps how you can go through the penetration testing steps. For this uh, event, I've created an in-depth 8 steps for the preparation of penetration testing. Um, the responsibility on that level for the responsibility I use as a sample what I was self doing as a pen testing, and as I mentioned, the use case, some basics about the penetration testing in my real life experience, and some key takeaways. So it will not be a very technical session. So don't worry for the persons who are not technical. Um, and based on some technical in-depth information, some information I can't disclose, so that's the reason I put it just on a basic level. So if there are questions, why are you using this kind of tool and not other kind of tools, I'm not able to give more information about it. So this is about the agenda for now. So, what is an penetration testing and why they are doing this? So, penetration testing is to find the vulnerabilities, so actually the holes in those application websites, mobile devices, where you should be able to misuse it and coming into the systems. So, mostly the penetration testing what will be done will done on legitimate reasons to be sure that you are able or the organizations are able to secure those systems. So that is the main part where penetration testing will be used. A lot of IT companies misuse the penetration testing or don't use the penetration testing word comparing with software testing. it's not exactly the software testing where you are testing the functionality of an application or a website. It's more based on an security part of the software testing, um, where you will get the authorization to do an penetration testing. Um, so that is a bit about what is a penetration testing. The question what I'm very often getting is what is the difference between ethical hacker and penetration testing. So in the next slide I put those. Almost there are more reasons, but you will see some of them. So the ethical hacking is actually a broad and kind of umbrella term what you can use, what they are using for all kind of hacking methodologies and techniques what they are using. So it include also the tools what you are using, um, and have more and mostly more visibility in the organization's infra. On that topic, we will discuss on based on kind of pen testing more about it. Um, Mostly ethical hackers are not delivering a penetration testing report. You will see that a penetration tester will always write a penetration testing report with how and what are the vulnerabilities and how you are able to mitigate those vulnerabilities. But also a management and a technical report will be included in the penetration testing reports. So the ethical hackers have more knowledge about the TTPs and what's going on in the hacking world. Actually, they are up to date or should be able to up to date on those hardware, software, uh, on those devices also. And actually, the ethical hacker is, you can say the kind of a step forward to become a penetration tester. So at the right side, you will see the points mentioned already. Some of them have mentioned by me for the penetration tester. Penetration testers are mostly also able to focus on some specified area. We'll discuss in the coming slide also which kind of focus areas there are. And you can't focus on all of those areas. So if you want to go more in depth, or the business requirement is you need to do a pen test on a network or on a web application, you should be able to focus only on that topic. Uh, Mostly penetration testing requirements come from auditing point of view. On that topic, we'll discuss also a bit further. So that is a bit the yeah, ethical hacker vs the penetration testing. Um, a term what we also mostly use or persons are using in combination, such as ethical hacker and pen testing. They are comparing. You will see this kind of names are also used very familiar with the penetration testing. So VEPT, the vulnerability assessment penetration tester engineer, the ethical hacker, the bug bounty hunters, mobile security engineers, and the purple teaming, blue teaming, red teaming, and the vulnerability management engineers. Those are all names related to each other. Red teaming is more the offensive side, blue teaming is more the defensive side of the security, and pentester is mostly dealing with all of them, or combinations of them. So mostly what are the goals? Why the organizations want to have a penetration testing? Um, and they are mostly trying to find the risk in an organization, in a network, or in the systems. Um, you can evaluate those security devices by checking on the firewalls, routers, are they configured properly or not, the IDS, IPSs, and all those network related issues you can check on the network level. Is the is has been is the approach what they had used to set up or this the environment, is it the correct way, or maybe to need to change, or advising on those kind of steps. You will see they ask to say, okay, are we able to have a penetration tester to check on the security level? So also to test and validate the current security protection and controls what they have. Is this enough? Do we need to adjust it, or is it not up to date? Are hackers still able to bypass it? So those, that can be a reason why they should be able to ask for the penetration testing. If they discover any existing infrastructure related change, um, and is it still good enough or need to be changed, could be a reason why they are asking for pen testing. From auditing point of view, or regulations what you need to follow, where the companies need to have at least once in a year, or twice, or 4 times in a year a penetration testing. um, Example, the PCI DSS is more for the finance uh, companies. This framework has a requirement that you need to do a pen testing on your critical systems at least once in a year. Um, so that could be one of the reasons they mention, okay, we need to do it. To discover the vulnerabilities in your organizations, and helping or supporting the patch management uh, by prioritizing what need to be done and why, and what are the risks for the organizations. So that could be also a reason why they are asking for penetration testing. So these are the 6 steps I created in 6. You will find on the internet maybe in 7, 8 steps, or in 5 steps. Um, the preparation part is the part what I have been at for now. You start with your preparation. In the second stage, you will gather the information, and that could be by scanning, footprinting, checking the network topology, collecting all the details what you need to do your pen test, doing the vulnerability management, and going in depth to see which kind of vulnerabilities there are, um, having that, try to exploit it. By exploiting, we mean try to bypass the security, the 0 days, or the part where there are vulnerabilities, try to bypass it. And by also doing it with exploiting, you means also you are really bypassing it, and not only on paper. And based on that, you should be able to prove that you have bypassed the security, put it in a reporting, and you should be able to evaluate, or maybe to retest it after they have fixed the vulnerabilities, or the advice what will be delivered in a report. Should be able to retest it, or just it's fine. There are not major incidents and risk related points mentioned. Based on that, you should be able to close the penetration testing part. So for now, we will focus only on and go further on the preparation part. So the preparation part I've created in 8 steps. Um, First, we'll discuss in each item. We'll discuss on each slide a bit more. Uh, First, you need to have a meeting, and to meet and discuss what the requirements are, what will be pen tested, and when, where, why do we want to have those kind of pen testing, uh, approvals, and how we should be able to proceed with the pen testing, and the documentations what is required before you should be able to start with your pen test. So to give more, I will in some situation go a little bit more to explain and give some samples on it. So at the left button, left corner, you will see the those 8 steps, and we will go one by one. So you should be able to follow where we are. In a meeting, the goal of this meeting could be that a project leader, a business manager, or a CEO mention we need to have a pen test on our web application, what is available from outside the world. Go to www and website.com or something like that. So you should be able to do a pen test on that environment. So to collect the information, we need to sure what is the goal. Why do they want to have this pen testing? Are there any auditing requirements? Why and are there any main applications running here on this website? What happen if the website will be down? So those information to have a better understanding about the goal, it's important to have it. Um, in scope we try, and actually we are now a bit following project management approach. So persons who are familiar with project management, any kind of project management or agile scrum working should be able to recognize some of those terms. So in scope, what will be tested, how and where we will discuss, but depending on the scope, we should be able to determine later on if it's a very small pen testing project, a medium, large, or extra large, or how many time we need and how many resources is required, what should be the cost. So important part is also to mention what is out of scope. So example that on that website, because it is in production environment, example, we will not do any DDoS attacks due to some reason, or we are not using social engineering or phishing attack, or no. So those kind of parts can be mentioned in out scope. It's important part because uh, during the pen test, mostly they say, but yeah, there's all in scope. So if you define what is out scope and be sure that that will not be covered, make your planning bit easier. Getting the approvals, the NDA part need to be signed. So even in when you are going to do more technical pen tested, so not the pen test without very basic knowledge what you are getting about the environment, you will see you are not able to get the information before signing an NDA. It makes sense, because why should a company give you as a pen tester all the information if they are not sure you are able or willing to do the pen test, or can take this pen test assignment. So that could be and is a reason where you will see that discussing about the NDA and signing the NDA is also a part. Getting a better understanding about the teams what are involved, mostly from the customer and the client point of view. Example, if it's a website, is the website hosted internal or external? If it's hosted external, we need to be sure and know who are the parties where it has been hosted. So those information is required, because during the pen test stages, it could be you need to be in touch with the teams and the technical teams to be sure that you are able to uh, solve the issues as soon as possible. So the types of pen testings, um, we have a black box, gray box, and a white box. Mostly you will see these three. So for the black box part, you will get very less knowledge about and information about the um, part what you need to be pen tested. So the gray box is you will get a little bit more information, and the white box is where you get a lot of information with also technical designs, architecture plates, and all those requirements, how it has been set up. So that are the three different types. So during that meeting, from an pen tester point of view, you need to find a way uh, what kind of pen test it will be. Will it be a black box, a gray box, a white box, or a combination. Yeah, at some pen testing where we was working with, okay, first we will do the first week a black box, so you will get none information. After you are done with a black box pen test, we will go through all those 6 steps. We finalize it and review the pen test report, and then they say, okay, after 2 weeks, we will start with a gray box or a white box. Now we will provide you all the information and do the pen test again. So that could be a two-way approach where if they are not able to say it's only a black box or a gray box or a white box. So during the meeting, it's a goal to try to understand and what they want and which kind of pen testing it will be. As sample, I will give a bit more information about the black box. So mostly in a black box is mostly an external pen test. So this means that, example, a website, what is public available. It could be a company website, corporate website. You will get go and use the public sources to gather the information. OSINT we call open source, and you should be able to get the information to collect. Maybe you will find somewhere a username or password to log on that website. Could be there somewhere on the internet available, so you are able to use it. The scope is mostly very limited in, and you will get an IP address and or a website URL, and that's all. So without any inside knowledge about the environment, about the company, you will not get all those information. So there is no IT or technical preparation required. In the gray and the white box, you will see that more preparations from a technical point of view, and mostly IT teams are involved. And from my experience, mostly this black box kind of pen tests are will take some hours till days, depending on how many IP addresses, of course, and how many URLs website there are. So this is a sample of how it looks like. So the what part will also, and is also the part what we try to collect, is which kind of and what kind of environment do we need to do a pen test. Is the network, website, an application, mobile devices? It's the client server application, and you need to do the pen test on the client side, but also on on the server side. Is it a physical pen testing? So you need to try to bypass the security and the physical security to come into a building or in a data center. So that could be a part of the physical security. IoT kind of devices could be included. You only do need to do only an OSINT, open source uh, part, where you should be able to collect the information. Uh, is it a wireless environment? Do we need to do a wireless pen testing? Cloud, are the cloud environment involved, or is the and the apps, and that last one, apps and mobile apps, you will see very often, or it could be a combination of some of them, where the client mentioned, okay, let's do the mobile devices self. So you will do a pen test on Android and an iOS device example, but there are also for both, there are apps, and do also pen test on the apps itself. So that could be a combination. And if the app is also connected to a cloud, could be that you also need to do a part of the cloud. So as an example, how it look like, a kind of question list, what you will normally ask if you are trying to do an web application pen testing. So yeah, how many URL website links do we get? How many logins do we have? So with how many logins, I mean mostly an admin user or other kind of roles are involved. It's the static page. So statics page are actually pages that every time if you are on the site, you will see the same page. The content will not change by other backend systems. Dynamic pages are mostly changed by databases or some backend systems. So, and are there also content in the dynamic page with admin user rights or other kinds of rights what has been included in those pages? Are there source code available or is it open source? So based on that, you can decide do you will and do you get the documentation. So now at from point 6 we are moving a bit more on the gray and the white box pen testing. If there is documentation available, you will get a high level design, low level design, more technical design, functional design. Those designs need to be delivered, moving to the gray and white box pen testing. Role based testing. So I'm logged in now as a user on a website. Can I inherit my rights as an admin? Maybe I can do that. It could be an scenario what need to be tested during the pen test. And also credential scans can be a part. So there are more questions what you can raise based on this application, web application testing. Um, in situation as an network testing, you will get mostly a lot of another kind of and different kind of questions what need to be asked to collect the information. And of course physical or other kind of pen tests have other kind of questions. So the when part is, yeah, we need to divide the date, of course, by scheduling, um, to be sure that you have resources available. Example, if you have a small team, or teams who are mostly focusing in web and network pen testing, you get a request for a mobile device pen testing. Should be able to see if your pen testers are available, and if you have a limited resources, it should be you are not able to manage it. So mostly you will see that you can suggest them some dates, how and when they are available. You can plan on that, but also during the business hour and the after business hour of some companies mentions or environment mention. No, don't do it during the week, only in the weekend. We don't want to disturb our production environment or due to some reason could be, but your resource should be able to available. Where the location actually, um, especially now with corona also, in the past we was doing a lot of on-site pen testing on location by the client or into log in with your laptop or environment in the network, and based on that you should be able to do your pen testing. Due to corona not always possible, of course by VPNs connections you are able to connect to your company environment, and from there you should be able to do your pen test. uh, Offsite need also be discussed. In some situation, you can't do the pen test online. Sorry, on site. So you need to do it offsite. Uh, Due to several reasons, can be. Um, by one of the situation when I was doing a pen test for a jail in the Netherlands. They don't approve that we had access to do a pen test on the Wi-Fi. They approved to do the pen test on the Wi-Fi environment, but not able to have anyone on location. And that was also due to Corona, but there was also the situation I can't pick up the Wi-Fi access point and bring it at the office and do the pen testing on it and bring it back as an example. So due to those kind of situation, yeah, it could be that you are you need to go to the location itself. But in a lot of environment access and proper approval need to be arranged before you are able to go and visit those locations. Um, so that is also the part by doing it on location. So by doing remote, it's advisable to create a list with checks what you are able to do, and in advance probably try to get the access, and you are able to make a connection at least, not do the whole test, but just are you able to reach the environment or the IP address from the environment from where you are trying to arrange it. In enterprise organization, it's very hard to arrange it. Several teams need to be involved. Why do we need it, and how long do we need it? Are you able to go directly to that environment, or you need to bypass a lot of hubs before you are able to come? So all those access need to be arranged by doing it for remotely. So, why, as I mentioned a bit, mostly from an auditing point of view, regulation could be a part due to the GDPR. We are seeing a lot of requests coming that persons, companies want to be uh, compliant and want to be sure that they meet those requirements and be secure. PCDS, as I already mentioned, could be one of the framework. Based on that, you should be able to be compliant, and that could be a reason why they're asking to do the pen test. COVID, NIST, ISOs could be OWASP, based on the best practice on OWASP. Should be able, and there are a lot of other frameworks where you should be able to do. For the Netherlands, I know we have some more. The Norea is one of the frameworks, and the NAN is one of the frameworks where you should be able to meet. Why this is important to know is based on your normal pen test. It could be you need to review the reports what you are getting from the PCI DSS. So if they mention, so you need to review your pen testing, or based on those topics what had been mentioned, you need to double check or be sure that you are also testing those part what has been mentioned. So that's and that could be well, take more time. So or maybe you need 1 or 2 day extra to do the whole pen test. Uh, so the approval part is, I think, is one of the most important part, as I know that a lot of pen testers say, we have now assignment, let's jump on it and do the pen testing. So getting the assignment and doing the pen test is good, but be sure that you are able to do on a proper way. So as I mentioned, the NDA part that need to be signed, uh, all kind of waivers what need to be approved and signed also. um, and in this is a sample of an kind of waiver where you will see the dates, when do you start, from which IP address will you start your pen testing, what will be the end date, what to do instead of escalation, contact persons, and all those stuff need to be mentioned. But also the important part is had need to be approved, and the pen testing agreement need to be set up by the CISO, CEO, or higher management board of directors. They should be able to sign it and give the approval. So by having the approval, you should be able to ask the teams, the technical teams, to start the whitelisting process from your source IP address where you should be able to start your pen testing. How is the part where I mentioned what do we as a pen tester need to be sure or prepare? So it could be that we need to have extra or other kind of pen testing tools. Um, Example, when you are not always doing a Wi-Fi pen testing, it could be you need to have some other devices to use for a man in the middle attack, or other kind of tools are required to support you to doing this kind of pen test. Or you have already those tools, but maybe you need to update it, or check it how and what should be done by updating your skills. If you are not always and daily working on those kind of penetration testing, be aware that know what's going on. So by having the information from half year or 1 year ago, how you was doing a pen test on example on Wi-Fi could be outdated. So be updated and be sure you are able to know what's going on. Um, Try to work with an action plan where you should be able to mention uh, who is responsible and who will take care of what part, so that make your planning bit better. A kind of project management approach where you should be able to work in combination with the checklist, where you should be able to say, okay, we have done this part. Why this is important? I was facing uh, oh, sorry, I was facing by one client. They start 2 years ago with the pen testing, um, and I jumped half the way and see that there was changing very often the scope. They don't had any action plan, don't then use any checklist. But after 3 months, they decide no. We want this part also in scope. So you need to define again, check all those part again, or after 3 months later they said no, we don't want a black box, we want a gray box. And 6 months later they decide no, no, just do a white box. And 1 year later become do a black box and a gray box. So that can take a lot of time. And then at the end, when we was already finalized all the steps, they mentioned, yeah, we have spent too many time to discuss it. There are no budget available. So they go and ask for more budget. We was not starting with a pen test yet, but they get more budget, and then we was able to schedule and start with the penetration testing. So as I mentioned, also do and if possible, do a kind of connection test that help you also during the pen testing. So some of the documents, what is important, or you should be able to have it, is a signed waiver, as I mentioned. Uh, the approval of your budget or project performa invoices or project code, or for internal projects example. So those kind of paperwork need to be approved. The non-disclosure agreement, of course, all kind of confirmation that the scope is finalized, and all the information will be required. And one of the part is, if you don't get all those approved and all those signed documents, don't start with your pen test. So the approval is very important in this situation. So that brings us to the 8 steps what I had mentioned. So after the preparation, you should be able to plan and start with number 2, gathering information, and go through the pen testing part. So, oh, when I was doing a pen testing, I created a short overview what was my daily work. Actually, I was preparing the intakes with the internal or external clients, for mostly the government, but also for some other clients. If you are working, you need to prepare or be sure that you are able to involve in the intakes meeting. So the meet part in our situation. So discuss the planning, discuss what is in scope, what is out scope, those rule of engagement and the NDAs, what need to be discussed and need to be added. So then, based on that, we get a confirmation. We should be able to start with the information gathering, to collecting the information what we need. If OSINT is required, then we are using the open source part, starting with the preparations, doing the scannings part, vulnerability scanning, but also networking scanning, other kind of scanning, what is required. So then you should be able to use your tools and your equipment to try to hack the systems using, and if they found doing the exploits in situation where training or extra training is required. I was also facing or learning on that to be sure you are able to get it. And at the end, based on the international standards, create the reporting part, and the report you will see and will be mentioned in the risk matrix with low, medium, and high. And there will be a technical explanation how and what are you able to do to find this and solve this vulnerability. um, and also on management level, on some large pen testing you will see also that the client also require that you give a presentation um, about your report, what you have defined. Based on that, they should be able to ask you questions. So that is the part about my when I was doing pen testing. Some of the use cases, as I in the beginning mentioned, I can't give too many information, but I can give a bit about it. So next slide. So when I was doing pen testing for the Ministry of Justice and Security, and one of the part was the jails of the Netherlands. Um, where more than 15,000 persons is working to be able to secure the and not only on security level but only on all kind of level for the jails in the Netherlands. um, I was using, there was had 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it was in the news also. Prisoners will get tablets. So a lot of persons that say, yeah, but they are able to go to YouTube and all those stuff to see, and they're a part of entertainment. That was not the main reason they get a tablet. They had an old systems where you should be able to fill the form and then invite, if you want to have a visitor, should be able to fill the form and then they arrange it. Now with this tablet, they was able to go to the internal website where you are able to request for visitors or other kind of internal stuff. You should be able to do it. So it was easier for prisoners to do it. So recently, due to Corona, some of the jails, almost all of the jails in Netherlands, they also provide more than 800 tablets extra to those jails to use it also for video conference. Uh, because due to Corona, you don't want to have persons from outside into the jail as visiting your persons who are already there, so they decide to use the video conference. So those tablets need to be secure, and was also a part where we was doing pen testing to be sure that the tablets are secure. You are only able to use, example, the video calling or those visitor registration part, but not all the other part is not available. So with hardening, be sure that those hardware devices are secure enough, is one of the samples for to use and do a pen test on a tablet. So for the other deals or more of the other deals, we have some. There's a government part where they're saying that if criminals has a too long cases, prisoners sell off, or the lawyers for those prisoners, and mostly government lawyers, should be able to have a laptop where they are able to see the whole case of the prisoner. Um, in those situations, we provide a laptop, what they should be able to use it, but you are only able to see your case. Example, only a lot of PDF files. So by saying, okay, the here printed version, just read it and it's fine before you are going to the court. That could be an option, but if there are so high profile criminals, they get so many. If you print it out, you need to one more jail for those persons to only put the paperwork. So you don't want to do that. So that's the reason they get the laptop only to use it. But those laptops should be secure by, of course, disabling the BIOS, disabling a lot of features in Windows or Linux, which kind of OS you are delivering, disabling Bluetooth by policies or on the system itself, no USB drives. But even in some situation, we need to put glue in those USB points where they are not able to remove it and still try to use a USB Wi-Fi dongle, something like that, to be connected. So a bit of physical part of penetration testing, but also hardening is all could be also one of the reason uh, to use it and do it. And one last use case. This is one of the commando center truck actually, what has been used by the police and other departments instead of disaster events, or it could be something where they should be able to jump into this field. As in the picture you can see the truck part can be uh, enhanced and make it bigger. So inside you will see an kind of meeting room, and at the right image you will see some computers. Based on those computers, they are able to connect. So are connected with internet. So our goal in the pen test was to see if you are able to come out from outside inside as one part. But if you are inside or from even from outside, are you able to yeah, hack anything or find any vulnerabilities where you should be able to come inside the building, or from outside you are able to come to the network of them on a separate network where they are located. So that could be one of the part, but not only in the example, if there are Wi-Fi connection on it, try to connect on it, but there was also, and there is also, one heating and air conditioning system in that environment that will control by other systems. So are you able to find vulnerabilities on those systems? There are hydraulic systems involved. So by moving it and making the truck bigger and smaller, are there some vulnerabilities? So more into the industrial and IoT kind of devices should be also investigated. From those parts, you should be able to hack and also find vulnerabilities. So uh, that's how it looked like as there's some kind of truck is driving. So it brings me almost to the end. Just to share, it's based on my experience. I'm not sure if it's something only for cybersecurity, but hopefully also for other fields. So I was reading and found that how we remember stuff. It's anything. So when we read anything, we should be able to remember about 10% what we have reading. So if we rehearse anything, we should be able to at least 20% should be what we will remember. If you see, it should be a bit more, 30%. If you see and hear, so you use the combination, about 50% should be still what you are able to remember. If you say it or write it, you will get more, 70%. And if you do and teach, you will understand and remember more. So based on my experience, I bit agree on it. I prefer also, if I'm dealing and try to use some kind of tools or techniques, try to do it hands-on. Experience is one of the best, I guess. And if you teach it, you need to also understand what you are teaching, so you need to go more in depth. So bring me to one of the quotes, what I found: me, tell me and I will forget it, show me and I will remember it, involve me and I will understand it. So at last, the key takeaways what I've created for this part is, yeah, as I mentioned, try to use the project management approach or any kind of project management approach. um, Start early in the preparation. Why? Because a lot of preparation need to be done, and it's not that in software testing you will say, example, I have an application X need to be tested, and you put it in your systems, and tomorrow you will start with the testing. All those prerequisites, what has been mentioned in the preparations, need to be aligned, especially if the project manager is never involved in any security pen testing or pen testing. It will take a bit more time to align it. So important to have a proper in scope and out scope part, if possible, and companies are using the DDAP, the development, testing, acceptance, and production environment, a way of working. Try to do it on acceptance, especially if your acceptance is copy or look like for the production environment, then you can start doing that on the acceptance. In some situation, after doing the acceptance, you will see still a request to do the same also on the production environment. Uh, but in the acceptance, you should be able to find those issues and need can solve before doing the pen test on production. If there is a security operation team involved, inform that this kind of pen testing is going on, and the time duration. So if there is something, they should be able to reach out to you. And the last one, still no approval means no pen testing. So if there are no formal approval, don't take the risk and start doing any penetration testing. So this brings me to the end. So if there are no questions, I will especially thank Vandana Verma and the DevSecCom team for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and it was such a great and insightful session, I could say, because you have summarized it all and really well. So much thanks once again, and we are really looking forward for many more sessions with InfoSec Diversity. Thanks
Yep.
again.
Thank you, Muskan. Okay,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye. Good night.
Bye.